Hey, what's going on YouTube? So here's a really quick video of a workflow that I use to warp stabilize multiple clips at a time. I know Premiere doesn't like doing it for the most part, so here's the workaround that I found. So I have all these clips here on V1. These are the clips in blue here that I want to stabilize. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all of them. And what we're going to do is hold down Alt on Windows machine. I'm not really sure about the Mac. Maybe it's Option, I think, on Mac. Anyway, you hold down Alt and then drag it onto V2 to copy the clips right there. So what we're going to do is use this V2 as our reference point for where we're making the cuts. So we have V1, all the clips still selected. And I'm going to go ahead and do Control-Shift-N. And what that's going to do is give me a nested sequence for all my highlighted clips. So I'm just going to hit OK. It doesn't really matter what it's named. So now we have this green bar here. This is all of our clips nested into one giant clip, essentially. So we're going to use these clips on V2 that we had copied to go ahead and use our Cut tool. So I hit C for Cut. And I'm going to go ahead and start cutting all of these points right here to kind of remake all of our clips that we had before. So go ahead and speed this up. All right, so now all of our clips are cut. These little purple clips are drone shots, so I don't want to warp stabilize those. So I'm going to go ahead and delete them from our nested sequence here because we don't want it warp stabilized. So now I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of these clips in the nested sequence. And you can't see on screen here, but basically I'm just finding the warp stabilizer effect, and I'm going to go ahead and drag it onto all of these nested clips. You know, rather than dragging it onto one right here, we're dragging it onto all clips that we want warp stabilized at one time. And go ahead, and you see this red bar appears right here, and that means the warp stabilizer is working, and it's currently warp stabilizing all, let's see, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, about like 30 clips at one time right here. So I guess I'll go ahead and speed up the video again. One thing that I'm going to mention is nothing. Can't think of anything to mention. We're still waiting on all the clips to warp stabilize. Basically, once this red bar turns yellow, that's when we know it's done warp stabilizing in a simple timeline like this. And I feel like when you're using this effect, you know, warp stabilizing multiple clips at once, you're going to want to keep the timeline pretty simple. You know, obviously this is just one layer of shots rather than like a bunch of shots stacked up on each other. So yeah, keep your timeline simple, and then eventually this warp stabilizer effect is gonna finish, and once it does, it's gonna turn yellow like this area. So in a minute here we'll see all these clips turn yellow. But one thing I wanted to say is before you do this warp stabilizer, I recommend not doing any color correction on the clips at all. For whatever reason, on my machine at least, and it might be different depending on your specs or whatnot, but on my machine, any sort of lumetri effect on a clip will dramatically show, drastically slow down the warp stabilizer effect. So definitely you want to warp stabilize before doing any color correction at all, and this process will go much faster. So okay, let's continue to wait for the effect to complete processing. Just to show that it's actually working here, I don't even know if you can see this, but we got about 2 minutes left on this clip, 3 minutes left. So it definitely takes a while to do all this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some stretches real quick while I wait for this. All right, so as you can see here, we have some yellow coming in. That means the warp stabilizer effect has finished processing. And yeah, it's kind of satisfying just to watch the warp stabilizer do its thing. Wait for all these red spots to turn yellow, and then once they're all yellow, you're done and all your clips are stabilized. A lot of breath from those squats, but the one thing about doing this is that Warp Stabilizer automatically defaults to 50% smoothness, so that's usually too much for my footage. So I have to go through and manually change all the 50% clips to like 6. 6 is a good spot for my type of footage. 6% smoothness. We just need a little bit. So if anyone knows of a way to do this faster, I thought about maybe like writing a script or something that would just automatically execute, selecting the next clip, changing the smoothness to 6%. So that would do it much faster than this technique, because this is putting a little bit of strain on my wrist from doing it. Luckily I'm not doing this like constantly all day every day, but still this is like pretty tough on the wrist, I feel like. And maybe in 15 years after doing this for tens of thousands of clips, I might have carpal tunnel syndrome. So if anyone knows of a way to do this process in an automated way, that would be really nice. Maybe you could make a YouTube tutorial about how to do it. But okay, let me just show you. So right now we still have the clips on V2 in the blue, and this is our, this is the non. Let me find a good example. So this is the non smooth clip, and then we go ahead and delete V2, and now this is the stabilized clip. Much better. All right, cool. There you go. That's how you do it. Take care. So just another quick note, sometimes the clips, depending on what you're trying to stabilize, and I think this happens with Warp Stabilizer regularly anyway, but I'm hoping it doesn't happen extra often when you're stabilizing multiple clips at once, but it might. So just one thing to watch out for is sometimes your clips, like this staircase right here, it might be hard to see, but if we hit play, you'll notice some extra wobbly crap that just doesn't look good, and actually the non-stabilized clip looks better. So definitely double check your footage. It might be hard to see, but to me it doesn't look good, so I'm actually going to go ahead and delete the stabilized clip. Yeah, so the clip looks better without stabilization. Anyway, just wanted to let you know. All right. Here's another example, like the Warp Stabilizer just adds like a ton of like Jello-y kind of look to it. Like, ready, watch this. See, it's going crazy. Like look at the floor right here. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and go over to the effect controls panel and like select Warp Stabilizer as the effect right here, and go ahead and just hit delete. That gets rid of the stabilizer effect, and it's much smoother without it. So definitely double check all your footage. Even that one's doing it a little bit. That one too. So I don't, sometimes that one too. I don't know. I think it might have to do with like the processing power of your PC or Mac, and it might have something to do with that I'm recording at the same time as processing. It's a lot of CPU power, so maybe just definitely do this with no other programs open. I find that Warp Stabilizer usually works a bit better when you can dedicate all of the resources on your machine to Warp Stabilizer. This one looks okay. All right, all the rest of them look fine to me. So, all right, we're in business. All right, there you go. If you have any other questions, just feel free to message me on Reddit or comment on this video. Thank you.